How's it going, people of the DC Cinematic Universe? Welcome to my Peacemaker Season 1 finale review, and my God, what an entertaining episode. I was so entertained, and every week I'm wondering, is this my favorite episode? All I have to say right at the beginning of this review is that I laughed. There were moments where I was basically tearing up out of such emotion. Like, again, I go on about it every week, but that's the perfect cocktail that James Gunn always manages to infuse. So I feel like this was a really decent way to wrap up Peacemaker Season 1. If you didn't know already, it was really weird. I was talking about Peacemaker Season 2 on Twitter, and then literally 20 minutes later, James Gunn announced Season 2 actually being a thing. So we do have Peacemaker Season 2, guys. Make sure you stay subscribed to the channel if you're enjoying these weekly reviews and breakdowns that I've been doing, because as time goes on, I will be doing breakdowns on any news and updates that we get. But anyway, like this video if you do go on to enjoy it. I really do appreciate that. It helps me get pushed out there in the algorithm a bit more, but I know you're probably sick of me saying that, so let's get into this. So at the very beginning, you know, they're on the way to the ranch. This is quite literally the finale, so we were all expecting kick-ass things with them taking out the cow. And I expected several twists and turns in this episode. Nothing like monumentally huge. I felt like I had a really good idea of where things were going, but answers were still yet to be given. For example, what was Judo Master going to say? What were the butterflies really trying to do? I feel like a lot of us were conned on to the fact that, you know, is it really just about world domination? And a lot of us in the comments, when you guys were giving your theories and stuff, were definitely on the right track, but I am really happy still with the surprises that this episode did, and I think you know the ones that I'm on about. So here we have just, you know, typical Vigilante and Peacemaker, as Adebayo's trying to say sorry, making fart noises. I mean, I can't comment on every single joke, but just trust me, I didn't miss them. But as usual, I was heavily entertained by these two. I could watch a whole season of the Peacemaker and Vigilante show. HBO Max, make it happen. When they arrive at the ranch, basically we have Waller on the phone to Leota, because she's kind of ringing them up, and little did I know, I don't think a lot of us expected that at the ending, and it's, oh man, I need to save the talk for then, but I'm just surprised that we got that in a way we got that. But the reason why I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself there is because when she was on the phone to her mother, she says that there are loads more butterflies than what they had thought, so maybe you could call in the Justice League. I was thinking like, oh, okay, I'm glad that they at least addressed that, because a lot of time these shows out there, and you know, the reason why you can still have quite a bit of critical thinking with stuff like this is because in situations in movies, you can, you know, some people might just say, oh, it's a comic book movie, man, just enjoy it for what it is, but like, you can also literally critique the fact that, yeah, but there are other characters out there who could be very helpful, and if you don't address that, then it's not a massive plot hole, but arguably it kind of is at the same time, because if there is no logical rhyme or reason as to why they're not there, why aren't they there? At least James Gunn's put that in there, and that's all I thought it was going to be at the time. And granted, we didn't get a proper excuse, because I believe all that was said, or at least, you know, hinted at with what Waller said down the phone with Leota saying, do we have time to wait for backup? Harcourt's like, no, you know, they're going to teleport the creature out of here at any moment, so not really. So at least we know that Waller was like, it might take, you know, a little while, maybe a few hours, I guess we're meant to gather here to kind of get the Justice League together. But I suppose you could argue, if there is an alien invasion, if you want to get a bit more picky here, the Justice League should have been handling this in the first place. But to play devil's advocate, they could have already been dealing with another world-ending-esque threat around about this time. This is where, you know, a show existing in a larger world really does get a little bit more cracked and complicated when you do address larger things like that. But again, a lot of people don't tend to care about that and just are absorbed in the here and now of what is happening. But I just thought I'd mention it anyway. As they're preparing for the assault, I guess you could say, on the cow, it's just, I never thought I'd be saying things like this in a review. Actually, that's not true. I do watch Doom Patrol, and that's a equally as crazy show. We got some more explanations on Peacemaker's helmets, and also a little bit of foreshadowing here. One of the helmets allows you to breathe underwater. That would be pretty cool if we just, you know, considering the Aquaman appearance towards the end, if we had a scene of Peacemaker just swimming and he just, I don't know, has that helmet on and just says hi to him under the water. That would have been a pretty funny post-credit scene. But either way, we also have the scabies one, which just gives everyone scabies. Another is an anti-gravity one, which allows you to float. Peacemaker even details that he has a little tiny fan to help guide him instead of wandering aimlessly with that helmet. And of course, one with a sonic boom attached, which we saw demonstrated in episode 1, which obliterated that first butterfly. Oh yeah, and then of course we can't forget the human torpedo, which was the one that was very much so utilized in this episode. We get that helmet floating up. I love that eagly bit. I like how James Gunn does try and play with that. This eagle really might somewhat understand what we have Peacemaker going for when he instructs him to drop the helmet in the location, and it looks like it's gonna happen. But no, Eagly just drops it somewhere else. And of course, you know, good old Eagly moments. But to be fair, that part was after what I just failed to mention. That is the Green Arrow reference. And I just thought, oh my god, is this technically actually the first Green Arrow reference within the DCEU? Because I don't know about you guys, I have the biggest fan. I'm a big fan of vigilantes, and without me going on too much of a tangent here, I'll try and keep it short and brief. I would love to see a Green Arrow movie. I think there's so much potential in just cool vigilante movies anyway. And my fan casting is Charlie Hunnam. And the fact that, like, there is a Green Arrow out there, obviously, as we know, because this reference was about, oh, you know, like Green Arrow, Vigilante said, when they were talking about maybe using a helmet on a little bit of a fishing line that could, like, fly down to the barn. And I love the superhero rumors that we've got throughout the episodes. And in this moment, Peacemaker mentions that Green Arrow goes to Brony, dressed as the halfback of Twilight Sparkle with a 4-inch wide butthole drilled in a costume. And Adebayo points out that you always have like an insane superhero story for every single one of them, but John's like, no, like out of all of them, this is the one that I've heard that is true. And it's just like, no, Green Arrow, don't tell me no. No, don't do that to my boy. But the thing is, I'm personally alright with these jokes. I know this is where there's a larger discourse between, oh, how dare James Gunn do... And I look, this is subjective. So, yes, it sounds like I'm taking the piss. And you know what? Maybe I am. But, like, this is because of where I'm standing with it. I'm fine with it. But I do kind of understand at the same time, you know, this is what we're going to get into a little bit of discourse later. Not too much, but with the swearing of the Justice League characters, of what James Gunn has done here. I even love the little in-between stuff because James Gunn has developed these characters so well, which is something I love so much about this series. This one of its biggest things going for it at the beginning, not just including how much of a good job they did in of itself, but is that it subverted our expectations. So I didn't really go in thinking I would care about the extra characters like John, Harcourt, Adebayo, or whatever, you know, Clemson Mern. Those moments about the conversation between Vidge and frickin' John about ants and fishes, I love that. Like, it's just, you know, the reason is it's because they've developed these relationships. If it was like two people we had met a couple of episodes ago, never had much scenes together, it wouldn't nearly have that same effect. But I'm a guy in these shows like Doom Patrol who really favors the dynamic between two characters, the way they bounce off each other. And I feel like every single character from Harcourt to Adebayo, Peacemaker to Adebayo, frickin' John to Vigilante, Vigilante to Peacemaker, Vigilante to Clemson Mern when he was still in it, like everyone has a strong dynamic. So it's always an interesting and engaging scene if it's ever just two people in a scene like these ones. And we also had a moment with Harcourt and Adebayo talking about how, why is she still here? I mean, I saw a eagle hug a human. I thought it was a sign. Oh, you didn't think it was a sign to run the other direction? She's like, fuck. You know, like, I love it. And I feel like this episode went much harder on, in the comic books, Peacemaker actually sees the people he's killed. And in here, they're making it, obviously, Peacemaker he is really mentally tangled. Like, despite all the surface level jokes and stuff, and sure, he's a bit of a jackass here and there, like, in this episode, you really get an essence, and it's quite sad. I like it because you feel such empathy for the characters, as funny as it is at the same time, because, you know, we have Peacemaker's dad appear in that moment in the woods, and he said he almost tricked him into using his gun, which would have alerted the butterflies, but technically this is his own brain doing this. But again, the comedy is like, you ballsack looking fuck and things like that, but yet there's that sad kind of score in the background as Harcourt is looking at him really concerned because she just sees him blow pipe a frickin' tree. So, you know, it's a nice nod to that in the comics, but grounded in somewhat reality because of how much trauma Peacemaker has been through. Because even though his dad deserved what the heck happened to him kind of thing, we clearly saw Peacemaker put up with his father his whole life. Like, he could have done that a long time ago, and he knew that he probably deserved it, but we saw him episode 1, episode 2, just trying to make his dad smile by bitching about Bloodsport and things like that, always swallowing the insults that his dad shot at him. You know what I mean? So, clearly, it's really mentally twisted and tangled in his brain. We're gonna have to see where that goes, but it is interesting to know that the T-1000, so to speak, his presence might be felt in season 2, and that psychological ruminating, if you will, that Peacemaker is going through with the complicated thing he has going on with killing his father, and seeing him now, I feel like that will come back to haunt him and torment him in season 2 heavily, possibly really even impacting and being quite crucial to the plot in certain parts of the episode. That could even make him screw something up because of his dad, even though his dad is dead. But it was spooky though, I'm not gonna lie, how the helmet was actually, lo and behold, there. So up next is when the only way to get the helmet in the barn, if you will, of the ranch, is that we needed somebody to go undercover. And the only one who isn't really recognized because he's somewhat the guy in the chair is John, I guess you could say, even though he has been out there a little bit. And I found this so funny. The perfect character to use to make this moment funny as well. I mean, I'm sure anyone going in would have been fairly funny, but there's something about Steve Agee with what he brings with John that is just dynamite. So John goes undercover, and they already have the freaking detective's partner, Butterfly, if you will, pat on his shoulder. It's like, where are you going? And they make it like such a tense situation. It's like, inside. And he's just like, why? And he's like, because of this bag. And that's all it is. Such simple comedy is sometimes so effective. But as he makes his way down there, unfortunately, John balls it up because once he saw the cute, ugly looking cow, he couldn't handle it, so he started running out. And then, when he was on his way out, they freaking asked him another question. The butterfly, even the butterflies were concerned about the dye beard joke because they were just fascinated. And yet again, even in a moment where it's so grounded in what is so transparent more than most moments, it is comedy because it's all about the beard. The way, like, obviously the character was articulating this insecurity just made you feel so sad for him because it kept shooting between Peacemaker in retrospect, looking back and feeling so bad for, like, taking the piss out of this big insecurity that John's had because obviously as he's telling the butterflies, like, he thought it would make him look younger and more handsome. He's never had a girlfriend, so he thought it might help. And he never thought anybody noticed until recently where one guy would say it to him all the time. And I think the thing about this is that his voice was cracking with emotion. So, you know, again, it's just John being really kind of upset about this at the same time, knowing that everyone on the comms is listening to this. And it's like, oh, God. I am telling you, this show has such chemistry and chemical whatever you want to call it to it. It's just, that's why it works so well. Through and through, it's just burning and firing on all cylinders. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but what I'm saying is it really rarely misses, and it's astonishing to me. And I'm so grateful for that, because James Gunn being on board with DC here, getting another second season, I know I keep praising it, but I think it's a testament to how happy I am with this show. But as he was making his way back, that's when one of the butterflies saying, hey, that guy, place this down here. And of course, Adebayo got really nervous in that moment, was like, activate Sonic, and drop the freaking walkie. So they all start running after John, and I was like, no. And I was thinking, because this is a finale, I wouldn't think, considering they're probably hoping around the time they were shooting this, maybe we can get a season 2, who knows? So do we really want to kill off some characters? And when they were doing that a little bit later, I was thinking, honestly, 50-50 at a certain point. Maybe not Vig, but maybe Harcourt. And I know I'm jumping to that, but I was thinking, like, damn, are they actually going to kill people off? Because this is the finale, and who knows, they might bring in someone else for season 2, like I saw Michael Rosenbaum saying, hey, I'd like to be in season 2, and I was thinking maybe he could be Kite Man or something like that, who they utilize. I know I'm getting a bit off topic now, but I'm just trying to get onto the fact that even if a character was dying in these moments, I was thinking, man, like, maybe they will, because they could bring in a really well-casted character again to just make them as funny and interesting as someone like Harcourt and Vigilante. I know they're irreplaceable, but you know what I mean. But since the Sonic Boom was activated, obviously all the butterflies were really distracted and concerned with the Queen, so they get off him. All while this is happening, you know, the rocks are splatting certain butterflies. We even have the butterfly Lock crying. And again, it's just like, even though we know that the butterflies at this point in time are doing kind of bad things, but we still didn't know the end goal, I did feel a bit of compassion for them, because I was like, this is at the end of the day, they're their only hope for surviving as an entire race. This is when the team go in, it's like, let's go kill the cow. And then obviously the theme song plays, and I was like, yes. With that theme song going in, this action sequence was really well shot in my opinion. I mean, sure, there might have been a couple of moments where you could argue, oh, that character wasn't doing much and maybe could have done something, but I think for me, I'm a big fan of the camera work and the way it just had a lot of charm dripping off of the scene. I loved Vigilante going ham with the guns, then swapping to his blade. We had Peacemaker with the frickin' shield. All of it was just so... I think the word again and again, the Peacemaker, whatever you have to say about it, whether there's more critical thinking in certain areas than others that you technically could dig into, it is at face value such an entertaining show, and this moment was arguably one of the coolest moments they've done. I will say, as I was kind of just teasing there, like, if you want to get into it a little bit deeper, considering how many butterflies they were, and we've seen it demonstrated not only in the first episode with how strong, super strength they are, they're basically like a super strong metahuman, and later as demonstrated with the Queen against Peacemaker, it was a bit of a struggle to believe at times, despite how much fun I was having, that they didn't have more of a tougher time against dozens of butterflies, super strong butterflies against people. I mean, you get what I'm saying, like, that's something that just can't really be denied, despite 2 or 3 of them being really skilled. But again, it is a bit of a rule of cool moment in this, I could blatantly tell, because I was really biased to the action that I was really enjoying at the same time. We have Peacemaker in this moment being instructed by Harcourt to go after the Queen. We have a butterfly almost go after him, but that's when Vigilante's like, don't fuck with my BFF. And that's when Vigilante gets shot, and this is what I mean with what I was saying earlier. I was like, wait, are they actually? Because he got shot here, and it's like one of those moments where technically that could be fatal, and I love the little blade throw without him even looking at the guy. It's like, oh, darn it. We had Harcourt get shot, and again... You could say, like, because they are misdirects, and if that was being used all the time, I think it would come out a little bit frustrating, because then James Gunn would just be saying, like, oh, this person's gonna die, oh, no, they didn't, and if that kept happening again, maybe in Season 2, again and again, you would expect eventually one of them to die. Again, continuing the momentum, like, the momentum just kept getting, it's like a snowball, really getting larger and larger down that mountain with how funny things were getting, so we just had freaking John and Adebayo left, and they're just like, right, it's kind of down to us, and John's like freaking out, like, no, you'll get hurt. What makes you think you can do this? And then obviously it's the opposite of what she's been saying. I'm actually made for this shit. And then she goes out like freaking ham. Like, she was going, oh my god. Like, arguably, she had some of the coolest moves. It was Matrix level stuff just going sideways, and, oh man, like, she was execution style killing those butterflies, and that was... I can't wait to rewatch this episode tonight. Like, I do it every week. I rewatch it again in the evenings with my friends, and I plan on rewatching it for a 3rd time with somebody else. And then, of course, John, bless his heart, you know, he's like, okay, gets the courage, and then he trips up over the frickin' fence. And not only that, he breaks his leg with the bone bursting through. My god. Now, we do have Adebayo save Harcourt from that butterfly entering her mouth just in time. I did think it was a bit unrealistic again, just to have to put this out there, if I'm being fair on all sides. We had John, you know, go from that fence, which was at the beginning of the field. He would have crawled all the way, you know, in that moment, with the helmet with a broken leg. I mean, I don't know if that could technically be done by that time he got there, but again, it was a powerful moment because, you know, he rolled the helmet over, and you know, it was up to her to go and help, you know, and Harcourt said this as well. She needed to help Chris because he's now in there alone, and he kind of made a messy entry into there because he was buried under all of this rubble. So we have Leota going to look for him, but it turns out the Queen finds him first, so that turned into a little bit of a battle. Again, you can see how strong they are, and no, this isn't just because she's the Queen, as we've had it demonstrated in episode 1. That first butterfly was super, super strong as well. When he's pinned up, we have her activate the human torpedo, and I thought, okay, so maybe this is when she dies. I don't know, because again, with the reference that Peacemaker made earlier, that it's a very early prototype, and the reason why you might not want to use it is that human torpedo mode. When you go in, obviously it would have such a force reaction on your body that it would break and shatter all of your bones, and she does it, which just shows how, you know, it was a really nice moment because she was willing to go through that to try and save him, but of course it flopped. But this is where things get even more interesting, like addressing a bit more of the main plot now. The Queen says, you know, I have no reason to hurt you, stop fighting and follow me. And we have the true reason of what the butterflies are doing. Kind of makes you feel a little bit split in certain ways, and I kind of like how they did that, and this is exactly why Judo Master, who wasn't infected as a butterfly, like infected if you will, but, you know, taken over, he was a human rallying for them because he cared, I guess you could say, more about Earth. So the Queen actually wanted Peacemaker to help them because they needed needed 3 people to actually be able to teleport this cow. So after Peacemaker confronts her and says, no, Mern told us already about what you do, taking over innocent people, murdering them to try and take over the world. But she then came out with a very interesting response. And sure, you could say like, oh, this got political. And you know, like, if you don't believe in climate change and stuff, then... But anyway, no, she said that our kind, you know, traveled here from our planet that had become unlivable. You know, your planet had a habitat that we needed, you know, the water we could drink, albeit the food couldn't sustain us. But not long after they arrived, they realized that the people of Earth, which is a very, like, if you want to get really, like, into a deep chat here, which we're not going to do not worry, I'm not going to preach about anything like this and, you know, whatever. But it is really interesting if you look at the projection of humanity that this Earth is going to basically be screwed. So they saw that we were heading down that direction and we're not really doing anything about it because the leaders of this world, you know, and a lot of people as well, to be fair, are very present, thinking about the here and now. You know, NFTs, the effect they have on the environment is, you know, another thing. Think how many people don't care about that and just look at the profit of it. Again, I don't want to get political here. I'm just saying it is very easy to understand why this was being said and what the motive of the butterflies were, which I thought was quite a neat thing to kind of involve here, because it's, at the end of the day, it reflects a real world issue. And so they made a vow that they would do anything they could, and I love this because it basically parallels Peacemaker's vow to a T. They made a vow that they would do anything they could to change their future, to make the choices for you, the humans, that you are incapable of making on your own, to save your people and your world, no matter how many lives it costs them. And does that sound familiar to you with what Peacemaker says? No matter how many women or children he had to kill to get it, kind of shtick, if you know what I mean. And obviously this really resonated with Peacemaker because you saw this other side to the butterflies where he could identify with that mission. And this was quite sweet because I thought maybe she was faking the whole time when she was in the jar hanging out with a vigilante and Peacemaker, but she was touching his cheek and just stroking him, just saying thank you for feeding me and talking to me and showing me kindness. I see who you are. So that was all nice, and it was a little bit of an interesting debate to have. And I obviously kind of agree with Mern because no matter what, you can't really, and they don't have the right to impose their will on the humans. And I do get, like, the alternative could be that the human race is just going to drive itself into extinction, and they could prevent that. But you could say make your own mistakes or try and prevent it, and humans hopefully realize that before it happens. So if you go and make that decision for them, it can be seen as a really dictatorial kind of thing to do, obviously. It's quite a complicated thing. You saw their good intentions, but they're just robbing anyone of kind of preventing that happening by themselves kind of thing. And as the bio says later on in the hospital, maybe you just gave us the chance to make our own choices instead of our bug overlords. And basically that's where it really is at. But those freaking butterflies were so motivated after losing their own literal planet to the same things that are kind of going on in the real world at the same time. Like, I just want to say that. But the ironic thing about this is I think Peacemaker basically agreed, but he cared more about his friends, as they get into in the hospital scene a little bit later. But in this moment, he was like, activate human torpedo, and later, who had only just managed to, like, concussion style, just basically get there, all of a sudden has another taking flight moment right into the cow. And I knew, like, that's such a James Gunn thing to do, kind of make you feel sorry for who they're up against, even that cow, but then to just destroy it all in a big blubbering mess. And oh man, I feel bad for that cow. And yeah, I just want to know the name of the cow now. You know what? I'm gonna tweet James Gunn. What's the name of the cow? This is when Peacemaker shoots Goff, but not fatally, as we know the butterfly escaped. And he looked back and he could have killed her, but he didn't. And as we know, the butterfly at the end is most likely Goff. And I feel kind of bad because it's also weird because the butterfly threat technically isn't over, but without a food source, they are going to die. So even if Locke's butterfly survived and not every single one died in the cavern collapsing and stuff, they are going to die eventually. And I even have that question for the butterfly outside at the end of Peacemaker's house. That was the last of the amber fluid that he had. So what's going to happen to Goff in season 2? I'm guessing there might be some leftover amber fluid that he might collect from the bottling company or whatever. I feel like they might address that in the early season 2 episodes because maybe they'll want to keep that little butterfly around as a little animal-esque insect kind of gimmick that James Gunn usually likes to do. And maybe it could be a part of an assault thing, like as Eagly comes down and assaults some people. Maybe Goff could do a similar thing in certain moments in the episode as well. Maybe even becoming a regular part of the team, because if you think about it, she could infiltrate different people and go undercover, kind of like a Clayface type thing in the Harley Quinn animated show. But oh my god, I love, like, personally, look, whatever your subjective taste is here and you think it's distasteful to do the Justice League characters this way, look, fair enough, that's your experience. But for me, this was absolutely fantastic. Now, they couldn't, like, because of certain licensing and things like that, I'm sure they couldn't bring in Batman for that reason. I think the Cyborg situation is fairly self-explanatory. Superman is meant to be the Henry Cavill Superman, I think we all know that, but they technically didn't show his face. They could have even shown a more accurate CGI model if you want to think about it. So if the Cyborg situation, I think they just didn't even want to go there for fear of just God knows what kind of discourse would happen in the court of public opinion with that. And Peacemaker's like, you're fucking late, you dickheads. I love how they're just saying that. It's just like, yeah, like, look, we handled this. We've suffered with this, and you guys just rock up at the end of it. But I also just love that Warner Brothers, it just shows you how much confidence they have in James Gunn to let them do this. And as I kind of said on my Twitter, I might just read out my post to simplify it. When we had the dialogue of Aquaman saying, I'm so fucking sick of that rumor, and Barry's just like, well, it's not a rumor. That's genuine, like, chatter that they would have. Some people don't like it when superheroes swear, and I know I went into this a little bit earlier, but as I said in my tweet, that I am absolutely fine with superheroes cussing. In my opinion, Aquaman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, especially Jason Momoa and the demeanor that even his character and what he's brought to the character has, even in the Snyderverse, a character can still be a character while cussing. If anything, it grounds it a little bit more in reality. However, I'd be lying if I didn't see how I saw it rubs some people the wrong way, but for me personally, I dig it so long as the moment isn't forced, because obviously if Aquaman was like, I effing this, effing that, effing the rumor, that would be like, well, that was a bit too much, right? That just, you know, but it wasn't that. So that moment between those two particular characters, as I was saying here in my post, was two adults by themselves, effing with a bit of emphasis, which I think the casting of said character would do. It's no biggie, but that's just me. Also, especially in this show, the rating allows a bit more candid chatter. What I mean by that is, through this being clearly an R-rated show, this allows Ezra Miller's Barry talking to Aquaman in that way, because they can do that. They wouldn't put that in a Justice League film where younger people can see it, but Aquaman, if he stubbed his toe, would be like, oh fuck, or like, shit, that hurt. That's all there is to it. So he just said, I fucking am sick of this rumor. Like, what's so bad about that? And as I said, I think Snyder would laugh his ass off at this. I could be wrong, but I would be willing to bet a little bit of money for that, like, honestly. So it's just interesting seeing some people absolutely erupt at James Gunn, and I'm mainly on about the, like, really vocal Snyder people, not everyone, because, I'm a Snyder fan and I'm not doing this, but you get what I mean. It's just gonna be interesting to hear what you think of this down in the comments. I could also just imagine Diana rolling her eyes. Again, it just brings, like, these characters are comic book characters. Like, so yes, comics were designed for kids to kind of pick them up unless it's a black label. But they can also be black label ones where those characters are also the same characters, but doing things that aren't meant to be read by younger audiences. Same with Peacemaker, it's an adult show. So these characters, it's just so, it's like 1+1 to me. I don't get why that's so hard to understand. And I'm really not trying to sound condescending there or patronizing. Maybe your taste, you don't like cussing in general, so you don't like that about the superhero character. Fair enough. But if it's about something more than that, I just think that's a bit weird, because these characters are who they are, and if they were kind of real, and I know this isn't real, but you get what I'm trying to say, if they were grounded tonally into a bit more of a higher rated show, they would swear. No doubt about it that Aquaman would swear. As for the ending of this episode, I loved the music montage. I mean, I like the reconciliation between Leota and Peacemaker. He's just like, don't tell V, but after Eagly, you're my BVF. And you can see how much that meant to Adebayo in that moment, and that was so sweet, because their chemistry has been fantastic this season. Then we had the Argus agent speaks out. So literally, Adebayo is speaking out even against her own mother, and she's going to be protected, I guess, because she's Waller's daughter, but if this was anyone else, they would be in deep shit, but she's basically immune. She more or less clears Peacemaker's name, the diary being fake. She's got the credibility of technically being an Argus agent, and how it's all black ops. Even Vigilante's been cleared here. She exposes Task Force X. Thought that moment between Harcourt was beautiful, between Peacemaker and how he arrived there when the doctor showed her to her room, and she said, I heard you've been out there for days, and that meant so much to her. Like, that tear shed, that was a powerful moment. Like, even thinking about it, it just really makes me soppy or sappy. The music again, we have Leota returning home. Just the way it was filmed, it was so wholesome feeling. John clocks into Belle Reve. I feel really bad here because, he's back at his kind of desk job again, underpaid one, as he said. You feel that empathy for that character, especially with the context we now have. But he has a photo framed of him and the 11th Street kids. But they'll be banding together again next season, undoubtedly. It just ends in, like, such a nice way to end it off at. Like, we have Vigilante and Peacemaker still still blowing things up, having fun. Harcourt's doing well with her rehab. And it just ended on like a really nice frame with Eagly just being there. It was great. It's like, we know we're getting season 2. What a freaking killer series. Like, it is, I know it's not for everyone. Like, sometimes everyone's tastes are different, but like, if you're even into a semblance of a show like this, it is a home run. I'm so happy with Peacemaker. It's a show that, and I don't rewatch shows much. I really mean that. Like, I feel, especially when I review them on this channel, you know, I'm involved in it quite a lot, but Peacemaker, I could do it again and again and again. Absolutely stoked, guys. That's my review. Those are my thoughts on Peacemaker. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Do you have any theories going into next season? I know this video's been going on for a while, but I wanted to make sure it was a massive kind of celebration of the finale. As I said, if you subscribed to this channel through this series, do stay subscribed, because I'm sure you'll be liking the updates on the DC Cinematic Universe and other little coverings and breakdowns that I do on other things, if you will. I have recognized that quite a few new people have come in on these reviews, so I just want to thank you for staying each week, even if you're going to go after this. Just cheers for checking out my videos. But other than that, guys, a like would really help me out. As always, do follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links, as always, are on the top pinned comment or in the description. But that's everything. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I can't wait to read every single one of your comments, but I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you at 11th Street Kids in the next video. Goodbye.